Abraham Lincoln was an undeniably great man and the best president that the United States has ever had. When I say the name Abraham Lincoln, everyone knows who I'm talking about. But if I say a lesser name, like Benjamin Harrison, no one knows who I'm talking about or can even fetch an image of him. But we always remember Honest Abe. Why is that? Lincoln was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky, and grew up in Kentucky and Indiana. According to staff at History.com, he was a self-educated man and a Whig party leader. And he was elected into many political positions throughout his life. Lincoln promoted banks, tariffs, railroads, and things like that to bolster the economy. In 1854, he became a leader in the Republican Party, which was a brand new party based around anti-slavery and free soil, meaning no expansion of slavery into western states. Abraham Lincoln, as their candidate, ran against three other candidates, according to nationalinterest.com. Slavery was such an issue in this time that the Democrats actually split into two separate groups. Stephen A. Douglas, Lincoln's main opponent, ran for the Northern Democrats. Other opponents included John Bell of the Constitutional Union Party, which just wanted to keep the Union together, and John C. Breckinridge of the Southern Democrats, which were Democrats supporting slavery. Lincoln got about 40% of the electoral vote, which was all that was needed in a four-way race. And Lincoln became the 1860 presidential election winner. Due to his win, South Carolina seceded, and 10 other states followed, to become the Confederate States of America. Lincoln's main goal was to reunite the United States, according to staff at millercenter.org. Lincoln's first big achievement as president avoided the Union from losing the war very early on. A United States captain seized a British mailing ship known as the HMS Trent. His reasoning was the fact that two Confederate diplomats were on board and he didn't want the diplomats gaining Britain in the war. This made Britain incredibly mad because the captain had no right to siege their neutral ship. This was incredibly stupid of the captain because he was risking war with Britain, which was the #1 power in the world. Britain gave Lincoln several demands. 1 was an apology, 2 was money, 3 was to return the Confederate diplomats back on their path to Britain. Lincoln did every single demand without question to keep Britain out of the war. And in the end, not a single foreign nation got involved in the Civil War. Second, as the war progressed, Lincoln proposed Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, which freed all slaves below the Union line. Lincoln had no say in the South, so this was mostly a symbolic action. Lincoln imposed blockades on all the Confederate shipping ports and imprisoned thousands of suspected Confederate sympathizers. Lincoln also had to reinforce strong Union support in the border states, like Kentucky, who had 200,000 slaves. Lincoln never freed the slaves below the Union line with the Emancipation Proclamation. Never freed the slaves above the Union line, like in the border states like Kentucky. He had Kentucky keep their slaves because he needed to make sure not to lose the state in the middle of the war. Lincoln acted very intelligently through the war and outperformed the Confederate President Jefferson Davis on many things. Lastly, once the war was over, Lincoln brought the country back together, though it was very hard to bring people together that were killing each other days earlier. Lincoln appointed many officials in southern states to bring the states carefully back together into union without issues. After implementing the Emancipation Proclamation, which did not apply to every state, mind you, only the states below the Union line, Lincoln increased the pressure on Congress to outlaw slavery throughout the entire nation with the constitutional amendment. Passage of this proposed amendment became part of the Republican Unionist platform in the election of 1864. After a long debate in the House, an attempt passed Congress on January 31st, 1865, and was sent to state legislatures for ratification. Upon ratification, it became the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution on December 6, 1865. Lincoln easily was the best president the United States has ever had. He kept the war between the North and South and did not bring in any foreign nations. Which any foreign nation could have completely turned the tide of war. Union had 20 million people, and Confederates had 9 million, but with Britain's support, the Confederates could have won the war. He outperformed Davis, allowing the Union to win. And once it was all over, he brought the United States back together.